Go win, go win, go win, go win, go win, man, go win.
Let's transition to the NFC. Let's talk about the NFC Championship Game between the 12-5 L.A Rams and the 14-3 Seattle Seahawks. It's an NFC West Conference Championship game as the L.A Rams are traveling to Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are favored by 2.5 points. The over-under for this matchup is 46.5 points. Kickoff is set for 6:30 p.m. on Fox in Seattle. And this is the third playoff matchup between the Rams and Seahawks. The Rams previously won both matchups. One came in 2020, and another matchup came in 2004. Both these teams split their regular season matchups, both decided by less than 3 points. The Rams, they averaged 31 points per game, and the Seahawks defense only allowed 17 points per game. Both led the NFL. This is the Rams' 12th NFC Championship Game appearance. First championship game appearance since winning the Super Bowl in 2021. This is the Seahawks' fourth NFC Championship Game appearance. They won the previous three NFC Championship Game appearances. And the Rams are 2-0 all time versus the Seahawks in the playoffs. So let's start off with the Rams. And obviously the Rams are coached by Sean McVay, and their quarterback is Matthew Stafford. I believe Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, they are the best head coach quarterback combo in pro football right now. Patrick Mahomes had a down year according to his standards. The Chiefs did not make the postseason, so I can't have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid at the top. It has to be Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford this particular season. And we know Sean McVay is one of the elite coaches in the NFL. But Matthew Stafford, to me, had an MVP season. Matthew Stafford, he had 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4,707 passing yards, completing 65% of his passes. And Matthew Stafford, he is now on the short list of quarterbacks to have 45 passing touchdowns and under 10 interceptions in a season in NFL history. Aaron Rodgers did it twice. He did it in 2020 and in 2011. And Tom Brady also did it in 2007. Rodgers won MVP both times. He did it. And Tom Brady also won NFL MVP in 2007. So Matthew Stafford more than likely is headed for his first NFL MVP award, and it is well deserved. And I'm looking at Matthew Stafford. He tied Eli Manning and Joe Montana now with 5 career game-winning drives in the playoffs in NFL history. The only quarterbacks that has more career game-winning drives in the postseason are John Elway, Patrick Mahomes, and, of course, Tom Brady. And the thing is with Matthew Stafford, he's had 2 game-winning drives on the road in the playoffs. The only other quarterbacks who had 2 game-winning drives on the road in the playoffs were Joe Burrow in 2021 and Eli Manning in 2007. Both Eli Manning and Joe Burrow made the Super Bowl. And so Matthew Stafford is in elite company. And Matthew Stafford, since he joined the Rams in 2021, Matthew Stafford now leads the Rams franchise in postseason wins at quarterback. He leads them in passing yards in the postseason and leads them in passing touchdowns in Rams franchise history. So Matthew Stafford is a prolific passer, and he is one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. And all he has done since he arrived in L.A. is have the Rams in the postseason, and they won a Super Bowl in 2021. And that was the biggest reason why Sean McVay and the Rams organization traded for Matthew Stafford. Yes, Jared Goff was a good quarterback, but in order to win Super Bowls, you need greatness at the quarterback position, and Matthew Stafford has provided that in his tenure as quarterback for the L.A. Rams. And I'm looking at Matthew Stafford specifically, though, in the matchup in Week 16. The Rams were in Seattle, and Stafford, he carved up that Seahawks defense. And we know the Seahawks defense is a top 5 defense in pro football. But in Week 16, Matthew Stafford had his way against that Seahawks defense. This is Stafford in Week 16. The Rams did lose this game, 38-37, but it wasn't Stafford's fault. Stafford, in that game, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had 457 passing yards. His passer rating was 110.7. He completed 59% of his passes. But Stafford has played well against the Seahawks this season, especially in that second matchup. In the first matchup, I thought he did just enough to win in that first matchup against the Seahawks. But here's Stafford against the Seahawks this year. He's 1-1. The Rams average 29 points per game. Stafford averages 294 passing yards per game, completing 57% of his passes against the Seahawks. His touchdown to interception ratio is 5-0, and his passer rating against the Seahawks is 103.7. Here's his stats against other teams in other games. He's 13-4. The Rams average 30 points per game. He completes 64% of his passes against other teams. He averages 275 passing yards per game against other teams. His passer rating is 106.0. And we know this Rams offense, not only do they have Matthew Stafford at quarterback, you got playmakers in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua at the receiver position. And so it's going to be interesting, that matchup between the Rams receivers in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua against that Seahawks secondary. Because that Seahawks secondary, they are an elite unit. That's going to be a key matchup. But also, I thought in the divisional round win for the Rams, I thought Sean McVay made a key adjustment in that game against the Bears. Because coming into that game, the advantage for the Rams was their passing attack with Stafford, with Adams, with Nacua. But to the Bears' credit, their defense did a tremendous job. They had 4 sacks on Stafford in that game. And so McVay, instead of having the same game plan throughout, McVay made a key adjustment, and he gave the football to Kyren Williams, his running back. In the first 3 quarters against the Bears, Kyren Williams had 7 carries for 34 rushing yards. He finished the game with 21 carries, 87 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. So we got to give credit to Sean McVay. I thought Sean McVay made a key adjustment. Instead of throwing the football with Matthew Stafford, because we know how great Stafford is, he made an adjustment and started handing the football off to his elite running back and Kyren Williams. And so I thought that was a key adjustment. And I thought in that fourth quarter and overtime, the Rams, they leaned on Kyren Williams to get them to the NFC Championship game, not Matthew Stafford's arm. And so we got to give credit to Sean McVay for that huge adjustment. I thought the Rams defense, they did a great job against the Bears by creating turnovers. Caleb Williams threw 3 interceptions against the Rams in that divisional round matchup. And so I thought the Rams defense, they did a tremendous job creating turnovers in that game. They really, really did. And in that game, Kobe Durant had 2 interceptions, and Cam Curl also had an interception in overtime that really helped the Rams. I thought Kobe Durant played a great game, besides when he gave up that 4th and goal play to Cole Kmet with time running out on the Bears. That fadeaway throw from Caleb Williams. I don't understand for the life of me what Kobe Durant was doing. But besides that play, Kobe Durant had a good game. He had 2 interceptions in that game. And I also thought the Rams defense did a great job in 4th and 2 or less situations against the Bears. They shut down that Bears rushing attack. And they won on downs that were 4th and 2 or less. I mean, the Bears still had 160 rushing yards with Swift and Monugmai. But I thought the Rams defense, they did a tremendous job in 4th and 2 or less situations. It seemed like every time the Bears had a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2, that Rams defense won the battle against that Bears offense. So you got to give them credit from that aspect. Now, let's switch gears and talk about the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, they have been the number 1 seed 3 times in their franchise history. All 3 times they made the Super Bowl. They are 1-2 in their Super Bowl appearances. They got to the Super Bowl in 2005. They lost that Super Bowl. And then they got back to the Super Bowl with Legion of Boom and Beast Mode in 2013. They smoked the Broncos in that Super Bowl. And remember, they went back to the Super Bowl the following season against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. And they blew that Super Bowl by throwing the football with Russell Wilson at the 1-yard line instead of giving the football to Beast Mode. So they are 1-2 in Super Bowls. But good thing for the Seahawks heading into this matchup. Each time they have been the number 1 seed, they have landed in the Super Bowl. Let's start off with the Seahawks and their quarterback, Sam Darnold. I'm looking at a Sam Darnold in the regular season. 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4,048 passing yards, completing 68% of his passes. When it comes to Sam Darnold, I still have questions about whether or not Sam Darnold can win big playoff games. I have questions about Sam Darnold. And I wonder, how will Sam Darnold perform in pressure situations? I remember last year, Sam Darnold was the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. It was week 18. The Vikings were in Detroit. The NFC North title was up for grabs. And Jared Goff significantly outplayed Sam Darnold in the biggest game of the season for the Vikings last year. And then he followed that up, and the Vikings got blitzed by Matthew Stafford and the L.A. Rams in the wild card round of the playoffs last year. And Sam Darnold flamed out in that game and got outplayed by Matthew Stafford. And I thought in the divisional round matchup against the 49ers, Sam Darnold didn't have to do much. I mean, I think he went 12 for 17, had 124 passing yards. I think he did have a passing touchdown in that game. Yeah, he had 1 passing touchdown. But I thought the Seahawks defense was the story in that game and how they were able to stifle the 49ers. But this is going to be interesting because if the Seahawks defense struggles against Stafford, and if Stafford performs against that Seahawks defense like he did in Week 16, then it's going to be on Sam Darnold to be able to keep pace with Matthew Stafford. And we're going to see if Sam Darnold, if he has graduated from being a quarterback that wilts beneath the pressure and doesn't perform at an elite level. So that's going to be interesting. But that Seahawks defense, they are the strength of this football team. Because I love their offense with Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba had arguably the best season as a wide receiver in pro football. In pro football, Jackson Smith and Jigba had a better season than Justin Jefferson. He also had a better season than Jamar Chase. And I thought he was balling this year. I mean, he was balling in his rookie season. And obviously, the Seahawks, they made some big moves at the trading deadline. They traded for Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed had the key kickoff return for a touchdown on the first play of the game against the 49ers. You still got Cooper Kupp at receiver as well. He's a great veteran presence in that Seahawks receiver room. And we know Cooper Kupp in big games, he elevates his game and performs at an elite level. But they did lose Zach Charbonnet, and I thought Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker were great as a running back duo for the Seattle Seahawks. But you look at this Seahawks offense, they are ranked top 10 in 3 out of 5 major categories. They average 362 total yards per game. That's ranked 7th in the NFL. They average 228 passing yards per game. That's ranked 8th in the NFL. And they average 28 points per game. That's ranked 3rd in the NFL. But as great as their offense is, their defense is just as great. I'm looking at the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, their points per game allowed versus playoff teams, they only give up 16 points per game versus playoff teams. That's the fewest by any team since, guess who? The 2013 Seattle Seahawks with Legion of Boom. And the Seattle Seahawks defense this year, they only give up 4.6 yards per rush. That's ranked 2nd in the NFL. And on third down percentage, they only give up 32% on third down to opposing offenses. That's ranked 1st in the NFL. And so this defense, they are an elite unit. I mean, in their front 7, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Byron Murphy II, okay? You got Leonard Williams at linebacker, you got Drake Thomas, Ernest Jones II in that secondary. You got Devon Witherspoon. You got Kobe Bryant as well. And so that's what I'm interested to see. Julian Love, Josh Jobe, Devon Witherspoon against Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. That's going to be an interesting matchup in this game. Devon Witherspoon and Josh Jobe, and then Kobe Bryant and Julian Love as their safeties. That's going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be interesting. And it's amazing when you look at the Seattle Seahawks as a defense, because this defense is just as good as Legion of Boom with Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. This is through 18 games. Legion of Boom, the opponent's points per game is 14.6. This Seahawks defense is 16.6. Legion of Boom, they had 47 sacks. This Seahawks defense has 49 sacks. This is through 18 games. Opponents' passing touchdowns. Legion of Boom only gave up 18 passing touchdowns. This Seahawks defense has only given up 20 opponents' passing touchdowns. Through 18 games, Legion of Boom had 7 15-point wins. This Seahawks defense has 7 15-point wins as well. So they have been an elite unit this season. And I honestly believe that the Seahawks have the most complete team left in the Final Four. I believe they have the most complete team amongst the 4 teams remaining. But I trust Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford more than I trust Mike Macdonald and Sam Darnold. So I'm rolling with Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and the L.A. Rams to beat Mike Macdonald and Sam Darnold in Seattle in the NFC Championship game. Rams 28, Seahawks 24 in a thriller in Seattle Sunday evening in the NFC Championship game. But I think it's going to be a great matchup. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Seahawks won this game, but I have to trust the more proven head coach and quarterback in this particular matchup. So I have Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and the L.A Rams punching their ticket to the Super Bowl and beating Mike McDonald, Sam Darnold, and the Seattle Seahawks. Rams 28, Seahawks 24. So there you got it. That's my NFC Championship outcome.